stack. In the previous step, we got introduced to the concept of props. In this step, let's look at a couple of important tips regarding props. You can actually set a default value for the properties, as well as you can check the type of the properties. How can you do that? Let's start with the default value. For example, let's say for the counter, I would want to make 1 the default value. So if somebody does not set by at all, the default I would want to give for it is 1. How can I do that? The way you can do that is by going outside the counter class. This is kind of a workaround provided, ES6 workaround provided by React. So the way you can do that is defining a property on the counter. So you can say counter.default props and create a JavaScript object in here. So the JavaScript object is where you define the default values. So over here I would say by and :1. So if I want to add more stuff, I can add it in this way, but I just want to add 1. So counter.default props by 1. Let's see what would happen now. You can see by default it's 1. If I go to the app.js and add one more counter and save it, you'd see that this would get +1. The default value for counter increment would be 1. The way you can do that is by adding default props. Earlier we made the mistake of actually assigning by is equal to a string 1. And we saw that the counter component continued to work without giving a warning. How can we avoid that? The way we can avoid that is by doing a type check on the prop value which is being passed. How can we do that? It's another property. So you can say counter.prop types is equal to, and define another JavaScript object and say by is prop types dot it's not getting imported automatically. Let's go ahead and import it in. So I can say import prop types from prop-types. So I'm importing prop types from a module called prop types, and I can say over here prop types dot, you can see all the property types that can be possible. So you can see that I can say prop types dot, either that it's an array, it's a boolean, and you can also specify a list of values. We'll keep it simple. All that we would want to check is that it's a number. How can we check that it's a number? Which of these would be the better option? Number. So by prop types number. In the app.js, we have by is equal to assigned to a string. One. Let's see what would happen. Oops, it continues to work, but one of the things is if you look at the console, there is a warning which is being printed. It says failed prop type, invalid prop by of type string supplied to counter, expected number. So it's saying it's an unexpected type. You can go ahead and actually now go to your app.js and fix it. Oops. One, close this, and that's all. Cool. Now we have everything working as expected. In this quick video, we looked at a few things related to props. We looked at how to add default values for properties. So if a value is not specified, what should be the default value for it? We also looked at how you can put constraints around the values that can be assigned to prop types. We saw that we just needed to import prop types and use that to specify the constraints. We saw that both default props and prop types in React ES6 are added as properties on the class. I'll see you in the next step. Until then, bye-bye. Welcome back. In the last few steps, we talked about a lot of different things about component. We looked at view, how you can define a view using JSX. We looked at how you can write logic, basically how you can bind events to whatever happens on the screen. We looked at how you can style. We looked at two options. We looked at how you can have a separate CSS file, or you can create styles inside your JavaScript as well. We took a basic look at the state. We used state for the counter, and we looked at the fact that the state has to be initialized inside the constructor, and later whenever you'd want to update state, you would call the set state method, and the set state method would do a merge. So the set state method would always do a merge of the new state values with the existing state. The last thing which we looked at was props. So we looked at how you can pass a prop to a component, and how you can set default properties, as well as how you can set constraints, for example type constraints on a property. In this step, let's look at another important tool. It's a Chrome plugin related to React. If you'd Google for React developer tools, you'd end up with a plugin from the website chrome.google.com. We would recommend you to use the Chrome browser. So install the Chrome plugin. React developer tools also has a